Galimera, Galispera, Galinichta. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. About 5 minutes ago, I was going to say to you guys, well, that's 90 plus minutes we'll never get back. And what do you say? It is Christmas time. And there are miracles. Let's rock and roll, squaddies.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Well, I'm sweating and it's got absolutely nothing to do with perimenopausal stuff. Here to sweat it out with me once again, my podcast brother from another mother. It is Mr. James Johnson. What on earth?
Actually, I'm going to swap the salute for that. Phew. My God.
Listen, I don't know what pictures I loaded. I have no idea what happened. I changed the thumbnail 4 times. And I catch your breath, everyone. Squaddies, good evening. At ease, everyone. Welcome to Squad Central for those listening on Apple, Spotify, and all of our audio platforms. I hope by the time you've listened to this, you have recovered from that game. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And sometimes winning ugly can be beautiful. But if this Arsenal Football Club want to win the Premier League title, they cannot afford to play football like that. Listen to our Chief Like Officer, Tammy Steels. Hit that like button. It costs absolutely nothing. Everyone joining in, I will try and keep up with all of your comments and gather a few. James, we dodged a bullet. Where do you want to begin? Do we even start with the starting lineup? Should we just rock and roll and just go for it today?
Well, considering the team just went about it, I think we can get off just improvising, can't we? Oh my days. Sophie, later on this evening, I've got my other favourite sport in the world to watch. John Cena, one of the greatest of all time, his final match retiring. And I thought that would be all the drama and all the pageantry that I'll need for this evening. And now I've just got it watching the football. My God.
Okay, let's start. Okay, Tammy says she's missing Strictly for this. Well, I would go to Strictly. Let's read out a few comments. I know that our audio listeners like to know what the Arsenal fans are saying immediately after the game, mostly. Arsenal Manic says that first half at home to Wolves, 0 shots on target. It took us 63 minutes in and we hadn't had a shot on target. In fact, we won 2-1 today and we didn't score any of our goals. They were all own goals. It was crazy. No. Is that true? Yes.
Yes.
Because Jesus's and Bukayos. And Arsenal Manic goes on to say, Gyökeres, can't you even perform against this lot? Bring on Trossard, Jesus, Madueke. Well, he did. And, you know, I think he sent that message while the game was still going on. John Guna says...
Nice comment from Name Block there as well. He's right.
I've gone all the way to the very top because I think everyone came in when it was 1-1 and Wolves scored. So I think I'm just going to start the comments from the very bottom. Gyökeres was a ghost, says Tebow. BX Gunner says paving over the cracks again. Wolves do not deserve to play in the league. Despicable. Arsenal FC HP. That's harsh. They should be proud of themselves today. Are you joking? I think our boys watched Wolves on Monday and went into tonight thinking it would be a walk in the park. Yes, Matthew D'Souza, that is correct. Terence Tibbs says, this team reminds me of a mix of George Graham's solid defensive team and the latter Wenger team that would attack often but never look like scoring. Name Block says, Wolves scored all 3 goals. Crazy ever guy, bad performance, but a win is a win. We move on. And 23, Gyökeres must be sold. He's a passenger. K. Marlon says that was terrible. Nat Fire, side to side, slow, rinse, repeat. Title number 14, James, please go in hard today. Don't hold back. The guy midweek gave Zubi an A++. Let's see. Mifcat, please address our fan base and advise us all to drop this Gyökeres narrative. He will come good. I'm going to talk about that when we get to Gyökeres. And then here we have NTX Dad. Real conversations have to be had about the gaffer, his lack of style and play, and how we scammed a win with 2 own goals. We can't use all of our luck in December and won't win playing this nonsense. Gyökeres was a passenger, says Peter W3. He wasn't moving into spaces. Havertz and Jesus suit our style better. And the comments just keep on coming in, and I will put them up on the screen so you can all read them. Keep them coming. Let's start at the beginning, James. The starting 11, what did you make of that? And then we will go in, I think, 2-footed studs up today.
Yeah, obviously was happy for Saliba and Jurriën Timber to be back into the side. I thought it was bold of him to not start his captain and go for Eze, but I expected that. I thought that Declan Rice maybe wouldn't be fit enough to be back into this side. If you watch, again, it's very easy when you've watched a whole 90 minutes plus to say about players, but I was texting you throughout it, and Declan Rice to me was way off. He does not look like he's recovered well from the flu or whatever he had in midweek. That's one of the poorest games that I think he's had this season. He just seemed to want to, with Declan Rice, I know he had a few good chances in the second half where he shot from range and what have you, and he did actually drive with the ball. But first half especially, he just seemed like he was completely cooked out. Whatever this flu, cold, whatever he's had over this week has completely taken it out of him, because he was not the Declan Rice that we are used to seeing at all. But yeah, other than that, I think it sort of picked itself. Felt a bit harsh on Madueke to get 2 in midweek and not get any minutes at all. I thought that shocked me a bit, but could well be that he's saving him to start the next one. But then again, it's another week's rest after that. So, but yeah, and then Sophie again, just sad that it's another game where you're losing another one. Another player gets injured.
Benny Blanco.
Yeah.
Really sad for him because he's been so good since his comeback, has Benjamin. And to see him go down, that was really a gut punch. And in a time where our defenders are kind of dropping like flies, we really, really need him. And I feel for him, James. It wasn't nice to see.
Self-inflicted as well, Sophie. Like I said, we've not scored from a long throw-in since April of last year away at Brighton. Sorry, not last year, 2024. Yeah, sorry, it is last year. Sorry, I'm getting my years mixed up. My bad. That's me. I'm not thinking straight. I'm still seething a bit. Yeah, so it's not like we're this team that are constantly whipping these throws in and they're going in. And yet we're whipping them in. Wolves have read it. They're like, well, they're just going to do the long throw every time. It's not like we do one long throw, then we do a short one, then we might do it. It's constantly, we're just doing that long throw, constantly over and over and over again. And so Wolves have read it. They've broken out. Wang should have scored, really. Thank God for David Raya. But yeah, Ben White's done his hamstring, which probably is going to put him out for a sustained period again, because he's chasing, trying to get the ball back on the counter-attack. It's just self-inflicted. I mean, this is it, Soph. If these injuries were contact injuries and we could go, oh, no, that guy got badly fouled there, these are all muscular. Last year we had 3 players go under the knife for hamstring injuries. That's not normal. So, something has got to be looked at and done with the sheer amount of injuries that we keep getting, because it's not normal.
So, agree. The muscle injuries in particular, the hammies you mentioned from last season, wear and tear on those players from maybe the previous 2 seasons. Players, Mikel defended the question. The whole press conference earlier this week was laden with injury questions, and Mikel kind of batted each one down, talking about how they're not even training. So if we park the injuries aside for a second, because I really don't want to make any excuses against a Wolves team that has been absolutely pathetic this season. Manchester United beat this team 4-1. 4-1. So I really want to try and understand what went wrong today. Sir Antonio's block, one of our OGs, it was the wrong team selection from the start. So I'd like to know, there's a lot of you coming in the comments talking about how he got his team selection wrong. Because, James, what I want to understand is, was this a Mikel mistake, or did the players let him down? Because I wrote to you and a few other folks as the game was going. To me, like, the first half was the most rancid performance I've seen from a Mikel Arteta team in a really, really long time. And I think, other than Bukayo Saka, who I put on the thumbnail until Jesus found himself in a position to get the header that ended up being an own goal, other than Saka, nobody got out of that half with what I would like to call now a Pedro Legrove FFF. Okay. Now, if you missed the show with Pedro, we talked about grades. That was the theme of the show. I had him grade our new signings, and he went in on Victor Gyökeres 2-footed studs up. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's just get to the conversation here, James, okay? Because it all ties in with what I felt was, in this game against Wolves, apart from Saka, which means Noni couldn't play on the right and maybe he would play on the left. If you're going to have this energy for Victor Gyökeres, and this is what I was saying on the show, I want you to have the same energy for Eze. The reason why Eze's getting away with it is because he's had 3, definitely one seminal moment and 2 good moments. And I've said it before, and I'm going to sound like a broken record. The pass to Martinelli against Manchester City, the Danielson Karate Kid goal against his former team, Crystal Palace, and the North London Derby hat-trick. That buys you a lot of love coupons in the Arsenal fan community. For heaven's sake, Mikel Arteta is still living on some FA Cup winning coupons with some of our fan base. But Martinelli was poor today. I think when Trossard came on, you saw the difference in quality. This Trossard, this version of Trossard is incredible, right? I think in the first half, Gyökeres stunk the place out. I've defended him, yes, but I'm not giving up on him. He didn't play well. The pass from Saka across the penalty area, he stopped attacking the run. He could have got on the end of that. That to me shows a player that is lacking in confidence. And also for me, what did he miss? 6 weeks? I don't think he's a player that bounces back like elastic from an injury at all. I think he needs time. In the second half, probably rinsed by Mikel Arteta, we saw a much more confident Gyökeres. He was getting onto the end of some balls. He was holding up the ball a lot better. To me, there's a player there. But if anyone had a point about Gyökeres, and it's not the lack of passing, Soph or James, it's him, it's his movement. It was evident in the first half. But I refuse to give up on him. And I want the same energy to go to other players, because this is someone who I think is starting to feel the weight of the badge. And people keep referring back to Havertz now like they've been behind Havertz this whole time. Havertz was handed a penalty by the captain to kickstart his Arsenal career. I just don't want to give up on him yet, James. So the first half was an abomination. The second half was a little bit better. But talk to me about, is it Mikel's selection? Did the players let him down? What is it? I mean, there's yellow flags for sure, but I don't think he deserves some of the vitriol that's coming his way.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amalgamation of everything that you've just said there. It's really hard to actually zone in and pinpoint what exactly it is. Because if I do a predicted lineup before the game. A lot of other people on the Twitter sphere do predicted lineups before the game, and they're pretty much similar to what we all expect and what we all want. So again, is that if that's what we're thinking, and then the manager does that, it's very hard for me to come on here then afterwards and go, "Oh, he's got the team selection wrong," because it's the same one that I picked. I'd just be making out that I was silly just as much as Arteta was silly. But the application, and this is something that I've been saying for a few weeks. And you know what, Sophie? I've come on here with you the last couple of weeks, and I've said after a few of the games, look, don't worry about the performances because we're still getting the results. I am worried about the last two performances. I am. That against Aston
Hmm.
Villa and that today was completely unacceptable. There were certain players that I wasn't impressed with against Chelsea, but I thought overall, okay, yeah, there was a bit of fight there, and but Aston Villa and today against Wolves, that is not what you want to be seeing going into the period of time in the winter where the games are thick and fast and everything else like that. And we got some tricky games coming up. I mean, the next one, Everton away, Sophie, last three in the league away, no win, no clean sheet in any of them. So we've got to really, really see a vast improvement on what we're seeing right now. But on your original question about Gyökeres, I'm not one of these guys, I've called, like Albert, I've called for this guy for 2 or so years. And I believe there is a player in there. However, I totally agree that he cannot bemoan, and fans of him cannot bemoan lack of service when in that first half he had 5 touches of the ball. And it's not like Erling Haaland at City, where he'll only have about 5 to 9 touches of the ball a game, but he'll get you 2 or 3 goals. He had chances in that first half. Like you said, you've got to be busting a gut to get that ball. That's bread and butter centre forward play. You used to sit here post game with a prolific centre forward, and he would probably be telling you and telling these people not to go as hard into him. However, that is bread and butter centre forward play, Sophie. And there have been times that it was very similar against Brugge as well in midweek. Bruges, whatever you want to call them. He is occupied, and again, a Villa as well with Konsa. He gets occupied in these like tangling matches or duels with people. And it's like, just peel off them. Peel off them and do you want to be on the box finishing things. Why are you? I think it's like a game to him of, I need to show that I'm the strongest. I need to show that I can outmuscle this Don't get involved. Marino, when he plays up there, he don't get involved in no sort of tussle, nothing like that. And I know some of this is probably them defenders as well wanting to show, oh yeah, I'll bully the new 65. I'll make this guy who thinks he can just waltz from Portugal into our league and everything. Marino probably doesn't get that treatment. But he just seems to get overly occupied in these like little tussling matches and little wrestles with people. And it is frustrating. I can see it. It is frustrating. But he's not a complete writer. I mean, some of this where he's a complete write-off, and then people that are calling him a complete write-off, and now lauding Gabriel Jesus, who I've heard for the last 2 years
Oh my God.
is a crock, is rubbish. He
Hmm.
belongs at the Red Cross, not at Arsenal. And this just goes to what I was saying to you last week about at Arsenal. There's always got to be a scapegoat, and there's
Yep.
always got to be a cycle. It's always somebody's turn. And at the moment, unfortunately, it's Victor Gyökeres's. But yeah, you are right. Do you remember when Sol Campbell back in the day used to get injured or he'd get suspended? You knew, oh, it's going to take him 2 or 3 games till you get Sol back to what we deemed Sol level. And Gyökeres is the same, because
Hmm.
he is, the way that he was at Burnley in that first half compared to how he is now. He looks like a completely different footballer.
Yeah.
Completely different. And I don't know. I know it's very hard to think, well, you just got to keep playing him until he busts out of it, because you might get another heart. You might not be as lucky as we were today. But I don't see what else you can do, because if you drop him now, you are going to kill him.
No, no, no.
He will be completely finito if you drop him now.
Well, also Jesus isn't ready to start. You've got to have him, I think, right now as an impact substitution, and that's perfect, right? Mikel Merino, I thought rightly so. One of our other favourite players, Zubimendi, was subbed today. He looked bushwhacked. Rice, like you said. Just to finish up on Gyökeres here, and there's so many of you in live chat commenting, and it is very mixed. Some people are really behind Gyökeres, and others are being a little harsh, and some kind of somewhere in the middle. And I get it. It's frustrating. But, James, I also think that Gyökeres' Arsenal career was thrust into fifth gear when Mikel was probably going to start him in second, then third. And by that, I mean Havertz was going to be the number one guy up front. Of course, he's going to be the number one guy up front. He's one of Mikel's favorite players. He's also overcome similar obstacles that Gyökeres has and earned his place in, the lineup. And I don't think Mikel, and again, I'm just looking into my crystal football. This is Sostradamus talking right now. I don't think Mikel had any intention of starting Gyökeres all game, every game. And it all came a little bit too thick and fast. I'm not making excuses for him, but I do think you have to look at this, with turnkey. And there's no doubt in my mind, and maybe I'm off and you guys will let me know, Havertz would have been the starter. Gyökeres would have been on the bench and earned his way into the team. We've seen before, you've got to earn it with Mikel. And if you don't earn it, you'll lose it. And there's definitely an opportunity, a chance here that Mikel stops trusting him. But he let him play out of that funk a little bit. He kept him on. He knows, obviously, he takes him off at halftime. There's certain players that are buoyed by it and say, I'm going to show you. And there's others that I think will get killed by it. And to me, it feels like Gyökeres was prematurely starting and we find ourselves in this position. And should he be doing better? Yes. But then when you're out 6 weeks and you're already in that situation, I think it makes it a little bit tougher, James.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And I can see people in the comments saying that, you're talking like he's an up-and-comer and he's a seasoned pro. Yes, he is. But it's a completely different league. It's a completely different... you got to remember, this is a guy that's come in as the main man in a team that's won trophies and everything now. And now he will never be the main man at Arsenal. And this is from a guy that wanted us to sign him for 2 or so years. He will never, ever, ever be the main man at Arsenal. Because Bukayo Saka will always have that. In this team, Bukayo Saka is the main man, and everyone else is a bit part player next to Bukayo Saka that is the main man. So that is an adjustment period. And yeah, like you said, he's come from having no pre-season at all. Started against Man United, probably was going to come off and have Havertz, do whatever there, and then Havertz maybe would have got the rub going forward. But yeah, he's been thrust, like you said, into it. And again, this is it. Arsenal are not a club that can write off a £65 million player. We just can't do it at the moment. So you're gonna have to find a way to get this guy scoring. You're gonna have to.
James, the other thing too with Gyökeres, there was a moment, and I messaged you, and I don't want to say, I think every player in this team has each other's back, right? That pass from Saka, as I said, we messaged each other. We were like, damn it, man, that was the moment, right? There were also moments, though, and this is why I felt like Martinelli. I would have even played Eze on the left and started Odegaard today, right? To me, Martinelli is still a super sub. I like him. In the Champions League, he's a different player, right? But when it comes to, and a lot of the listeners are saying, playing a team with a low block, he struggles. There was a moment, there was a break, and it was very rare in that first half. And Martinelli had the ball. He had Declan Rice to his left, and he had Victor running down the middle. And I was messaging with Tom Canton because we were going back and forth about Victor. And I thought Tom was really harsh on Victor. And the ball was to Victor earlier, not to Rice on the left. Now, I'm not saying that happens all the time, James, but that to me is a perfect example of like fans saying he's not making the runs. He's not. The Saka one I will give you all day long. That was really a bad look for him. But the Martinelli one, I think, is a great example of he hesitated because he was ready to bust through and he was onside. And if Martinelli had just passed it, Gyökeres goes through the middle. So I think it's a little bit of a mix. Do they trust him yet? I don't know.
Yeah. Again, they're playing false nine football with someone that's not a false nine. That's what they need to try and figure out and change, because they're not. The one time they played to his strengths was, like you said, when he held it up, spun, and had that shot that just went wide. That was the only real time that they played to his absolute strength. And yeah, the one in the first half, like we said, when the ball was played in, he should have done better there as well. But the service that he relies on and everything in the way that he plays and the style that he is, and that's another thing I'll throw at these people as well. That chance in the second half, none of our other strikers have the ability to turn like that, get the man, and then get the shot off.
That was a really good moment, wasn't it?
So it's like you said, there is a player in there. It's just unlocking it. And we got to find it, because again, like we said, at the moment we are not in a position to write off a player that's cost that much money.
And also, I've had a lot of messages saying, "Oh, now what do you think about Ekitike, Soph?" And it's like, what? When did we have that conversation?
I saw people saying, "Oh, Arsenal were in a meltdown because of how Ekitike." I'm like, when did Arsenal, one, ever come in the conversation for him? Two, ever put a bid in for him? His name was never mentioned at all. So I'm like, how am I going to get angry about a player we were never linked with?
400
Don't
plus
get me wrong,
of
he's a
you
good player, but yeah.
Yeah. No, he's been better than Isak, but I'm saying like not every signing has hit the ground running this summer in terms of, Isak, Florian Wirtz, Sesko, Victor. It just shows you it is not easy. And, Sesko injured, Isak injured, Gyökeres injured. Please don't give up on Gyökeres just yet. And maybe he has a role in this team. Like I said, maybe he's not the leading actor right now, and maybe he's the supporting actor. But unfortunately, he's been forced into the role. And we could see a mix of Mikel Merino, depending on how Zubimendi is, and Declan Rice looked off it. And there's a lot of games coming, and Everton's going to be very physical as well. Victor Gyökeres, I think, playing away from home might feel a little less pressure as he adjusts and comes back from injury too. So over 400 of you just here on YouTube in live chat. Please listen to our chief like officer. Hit the like button. If you all hit it, we'd be like, quids in, and it's free. So yes, please do so. And do as Ryan says, backing up his chief like officer right there. Title number 14. Let's be real. We signed 8 players. One was at least going to be a flop. Shame it's the striker. I mean, the comments are coming in thick and fast. James, so where does the rubber meet the road here? Because I want to get back to the manager too, because there are a lot of people making comments about Mikel and the sitting back thing. Now, as a fan watching this, do you think that we sat back against Wolves? Because I've heard Mikel answer questions from journalists saying, was it by design if you go 1-0 up to sit back? And he's like, no, I want to win the game. And remember, these are the same fans who criticized him for going for it against Aston Villa at Villa Park to win the game, James. So what do you think What do you think it is here? Do you think that he's dictating being too defensive? I think he's managed each game quite well. The last 2 games have been a little bit suspect, like you said. But where do you think? Do you think it's something in the middle?
It's really frustrating because I've seen us score goals now, and then just completely, you're thinking to yourself, well, here we go, step it up now. Let's, like you said, let's win the game. Let's get another one. And again today, the way we played after we scored that goal. Now, bear in mind, this is a side, Sophie, that are potentially on course to be the worst side ever in the history of the Premier League. And we've made them look like they're an absolute serious outfit that could potentially be challenging us for the title. It was honking, absolutely honking. And I said to you for ages, and I feel bad because I've forgotten that I'm probably going to butcher the guy's name and I don't know how to pronounce it. But as soon as they brought this 7-foot giant centre forward, how he doesn't start. I mean, there's another one for you. Strand Larsen was nearly going to go to Newcastle for the same equivalent money that we paid for Gyökeres. Would that is Strand Larsen worth the money that Gyökeres is? Of course he isn't. But then that, this is the argument about money and players and is he worth that? Is he worth this? The market is mental. And it has been. The fact that Marmoush went for 85 million to City. Don't get me wrong, Marmoush was a great player, but he's not an 85 million pound worth of player. But that's it now. Clubs can go, oh, he's got a bit of form. Someone in the Premier League will spunk money on him. That's just what we do. But yeah, back on topic.
Arokodari was going to score. It was going to happen. You and I were talking about it.
As soon as I saw him, I'm like, he's scoring. Just look at the size of the guy. They're going to do something and he's going to score. And so the application, now I know people can say they're tired or what have you. Martin Odegaard come on as a sub. The way Saka, Rice and Odegaard just completely let that young fullback or whatever whip that ball in was atrocious from the 3 of them. That was disgraceful. I hope all 3 of them get pulled up for that. And because that's just openly going, yeah, cross the ball to the 7-foot guy then. Just let this 7-foot guy have a header. Free as you like, easy as anything. The 3 of them to not close him down. I didn't understand. We were in the ascendancy. We're 1-0 up. Get that ball back, and we're on the break. But they're just standing there watching it.
And you see, because they're so beloved, some of those players, they get away with it, right? Same token, like you and I were raving about Saka because it's not like he had a phenomenal game, but you could see he was trying to put the team on his back and he was trying to make something happen. With Declan today, who has put the team on his back, he just didn't seem to have the energy. And maybe that's where Mikel kind of made a mistake, like we talked about with the starting 11. Noni scores a worldie, gets a brace on the bench. Do you start Noni in this game, go at Wolves for a little bit of that unpredictability, bring Saka on with 25 minutes to go? I think it's tough. Against Wolves, I wouldn't have been mad if I saw the same team that started against Club Brugge. But what a lot of fans have issue with is now that you've got a lot of people talking about, oh, here we go with me being a PR merchant for Mikel Arteta. I think you've got the wrong PR merchant, right? I've never been afraid to be critical of Mikel Arteta. But I truly believe that in the last 2 games, I think the players have let the manager down. And this is coming from someone who at one point, 2.5, 3 years ago, couldn't see the roadmap with Mikel, didn't understand what the fuss was about. But the meltdown, we're still 5 points clear. We scraped through. And some would argue, James, this is what title contenders do. They play bloody ugly. They stink out the joint. It's like at the end of the night when you're getting kicked out the bar, there's peanuts all over the floor. You've got beer sticking on your shoes. It just stinks. And this was that performance. But
the thing is, Sophie, when we do that, there's no track record of them going bang and then they close. Like you say, they don't close. You see a performance like this today, then that's followed by a cluster of another one, then another one, and then we're sat here at the end of the season and we're going, no trophy again. What do we do? You know,
Well,
that's the problem. Now, I'm not trying to be super overreactionary by saying, oh, you know, we're not going to win the league because of how we've played against. There's plenty of games and there's plenty of points up for grabs. However, like I said before, I've let performances slide the last couple of weeks because of the results. And I am not impressed with how we've played in these last 2, maybe even 3 games in the league. Champions League, completely different kettle of fish. But at the moment, nah.
I agree. I agree with you, right? That I have said I don't care if we stink out the joint for the rest of the season and win the title. This is the season where I'm a bit more forgiving about performances. But the deal is, like I said at the top of the show, and you can't get away with that against better sides. Well, we are getting away with it, right? I understand fans being frustrated that you can't beat a 10-man Chelsea. Losing to Villa in the manner in which we did, I think, was an uppercut and a left hook and a gut punch for these players. And notice the players that played in midweek in the Champions League, some of them don't have the memory of that match, right? Declan didn't start. Saka didn't start. You know, okay, Nketiah did. Declan, you look at the players on the deck at Villa Park, right? I think because he switched it up, the memory bank was a little empty. There was a lot of pressure going into this game. I think the fear set in, the shit thing that we hate, the Achilles heel of this team, the PTSD of the mental side. I don't think we went into that game saying, let's smash this lot. I think we went into that game saying we cannot lose this match because of what will happen. And I was asked about it on TalkSport this morning by Charlie Baker. At what point does the PTSD kick in for the fans, but then the players? And today, I think there was PTSD from the players, which is why, for me, I never got that sense from Mikel on the sideline, but I did from the players. And you know what? Big Caesar, I left this comment up there. I'm not a PR merchant, right? That's the last thing I am. I'm not here. I don't get paid by Arsenal Football Club. I'm here in my own free time talking about Arsenal with our great listeners and 400 plus live people in chat right now and our audio listeners. But I just call it as I see it. And trust me, I've ripped this manager to shreds in the past. At some point, when you've got the players we have, James, and you've got the depth that we have, I'm sorry, the players have to be accountable. I used to argue about this all the time with Super Kev, as you know. And I believe that today, in that first half in particular, they didn't even play. Whether he was telling them to play handbrake on or handbrake off, it didn't matter because they didn't show up, James.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, and like you said a minute ago, for me, that's Saka's best game since Fulham away. And even then, I don't think he was I don't think he was overly brilliant. He was just better than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. I thought first half, like you said, from Bukayo Saka, he was doing everything he could to try and help, you know, teammates score goals or play people in. And yeah, I've allowed him plenty of slack. It's just that this today and last week, it's not sustainable. It is not sustainable. So you need a massive wake up call. You need a massive wake, because we've seen it. We've seen how this story plays out for 3 to nearly 4 years on the spin. So you really got to now laser in and sort this out, because it's not looking good.
So Sparotta here, thank you so much for this comment, because we did touch on it. I don't know if you joined late, but I was talking about the Martinelli through the middle. We saw that. This is what Eza has done. He was so bad in this match. How is he not getting hold of the ball in that role and spreading passes and through the middle? We are so obsessed with playing it to the right. I get it. We've got Saka. But he doesn't have the same chaos as Noni does, right? Cutting in the way that he does, taking early shots. And then it doesn't seem like we like to play on the left as much without Calafiori now. But I think our left-sided play has really improved with that Calafiori-Trossard relationship. But going down the middle, we're not very good at that, James. And that's why I stand up for Gyökeres right now. Because somehow, some way, we do not have that shredded pass going through the middle.
Nope. And, again, and someone mentioned it right at the start where they said, Zubimendi today for me, again, failed to deceive. All season long, I've seen him use every width and breadth of that pitch. He's gone left. He's sometimes gone down the middle. He's gone to the right. Now, he just goes like all of them. Saka's way, Saka or Timber, Saka or
So
Timber.
predictable.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But I just I'm at a loss of what more to add. So I think everybody in the comments and yourself, you've summed it up.
Yeah,
perfectly.
It wasn't a great game for some of our best players. It was good to see Saliba back. He had some dodgy passes though today too. Again, he's just coming back. We're missing Big Gabby.
That's what I didn't understand as well towards the end of the game. A bit like at Villa, when they're on the ascendancy and they're in our box and everything. They're like whiffing at it. I'm like, just hoof it down the other end. They try and play out or do these like nice little 5-yard neat passes out of our own box. And I'm like, you guys are better than this. And I know that that's the 5th different back four he's used in 5 games and his 13th different back four that he's used all season.
But it's forced, James. He wouldn't.
Oh, I know. But you said there about the squad depth and people going, this is the deepest. This is the deepest squad, especially for fullbacks. You've got to remember, Mikel Arteta, much as I praise him and everything, he's got a fullback fetish. Every transfer window, he's got to get a goalie or a fullback. This is what he does. He loves them. But yet, all of them, they just whiff at it near the end. Like, why are we cacking the bed defensively against Wolves, who are on course, like I said earlier, to be one of the worst teams in the history of the Premier League? We were panicking.
Totally. It was a total panic. So I just wanted to. So the lineup in midweek, you had Lewis Skelly and Capier, Norgard, and White. I wouldn't have been mad if Norgard played in this match. We've got to guard Timber with our lives. He's so fundamentally important to this team. You had Odegaard, Zubi, and Marino in midfield. I wouldn't have been mad if Odegaard started today, as I said. And Rice rested as well. I wouldn't have been mad if Eza played on the left and Martinelli came on as a super sub. All hindsight 2020, right? But the truth is, the stats today, we had, after 63 minutes, 5 shots on target. We had 17 shots total. They had 3 shots and 2 on target. We had 70% possession, 569 passes to their 244. Our pass accuracy was 90%. They had 15 fouls and maybe a red card. I don't think it was a red card. 7 fouls for us, 4 yellows for them. No yellow cards for us today. We had 8 corners. Our set pieces today, barring one, were horrendous. And we got lucky today. We just did. There's no other way to slice it. We definitely, the longer we talk here and it marinates, James is right. You can't perform like this when you go to Everton next Saturday. Then we've got Crystal Palace 3 days later in the quarterfinal of the EFL Cup. Then we're at home to Brighton, and then we're at home to Aston Villa 3 days after that, which is why in this game, James, riffing off the midweek, I would have rolled the dice. And people say, well, how do you know that? I think the team that played at midweek would have done a good job today, barring a couple, but maybe resting them.
It's again, like we said, and we've said it for the last couple of weeks with Albert and everybody else that's come on here, Demian and what have you. When all these injured players, especially in these forward positions, come back, how he handles this is going to be so important and vital. And there's another instance today, and I know people are going to go, "Oh, for God's sake, we got the win, and why are you this and why are you doing that?" It's another one today that you can look at and go, "Did you really get, did you really get that right?" And then also, players-wise, when these people come on, the application and the way that they go into games when they come on is so, so important, Sophie. I thought Miles, especially first half when he come in, looked a lot better than he has done for weeks. I thought he gave us a bit of beans, like you said, down that left-hand side. But then the second half changes, like you said, other than Trossard, they were bloody woeful. All of them. Marino, Odegaard. Again, I cannot get over the three of them for that goal that they scored. Just completely just stood there watching it. Just gone, cross to a 7-foot player. It's fine.
I think this is
many of them.
I think this is a damning performance for the players. And again, fans are going to talk about, Mikel and his plan B. And I've always questioned the plan B and stuff. But, he brought on Odegaard, brought on Trossard, brought on Mikel Merino. Lewis Skelly was by default because of the injury to Benjamin White. And he brought on Gabriel Jesus. He had Norgard, Madueke.
Jesus looked all right when he come on as well. Apologies. I'll give you some
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about Jesus for a few minutes here. We skimmed over it at the top of the show, but I just wanted to go into it a little bit deeper because there is going to be a narrative now where it's like he has to start. No, he doesn't. He's a super sub, like I said. But what do you think Mikel does from here on in, James? I'm asking you to read the tea leaves a little bit, which you do like to do on the odd occasion when you're sitting there in your boxers watching Strictly Come Dancing. I want to make sure that I think it's important that Mikel doesn't, how he loses trust in certain players? He'll bench them. We won't see them for a while. I just read you the schedule for the rest of the season. He needs to get back into the rotation nation type thing. But if he loses trust in certain players, we could see that cycle that you're talking about, like playing certain players too much. But we got a week off now, right? Gabriel Jesus comes in, and the argument a lot of fans are going to have is he was in the right place at the right time. Even though that ended up being an own goal, his action caused the second action. What you saying?
Spot on. And I mean, again, like we mentioned earlier, he plays like a false 9 player, which this team still plays false 9 football. So he looks better because they don't play football that suits Victor Gyökeres at the moment. They just don't. I mean, he had nearly half as less touches as Gyökeres had, and that one at the end when he was running through, I was screaming at him to put his laces through it, but it was a weak, tame shot. But I let him off. But yeah, I thought he was gonna do like Man United and absolutely smash that one into the a couple of seasons ago when he had that run through. But yeah, he's not starting him. He's not.
And he shouldn't.
No, and I mean it's very.
And I know
hard.
Newman says stupid things sometimes, but it's true. It's like what you said at the top of the show. This is the same player that everyone was saying is finished at Arsenal and should be sold.
Yeah.
Take advantage of him while you can, James. Utilize him as a impact player.
We all know that every other forward that we've got in this club are good players, but they're not clinical. Gyökeres was bought because we thought he could be clinical. He's not at the moment. But like I said, you can't write that off. He's going to keep playing him until he finds unless he becomes an absolute shambles. If he goes like all through because he's not going to play against Crystal Palace in the cup, that one. He's not starting him. But if he goes against Everton, Brighton, and then Villa and blanks, then I'll go, yeah, he might be dropped now. But other than that, I can't see. Because there's no matter what people think, he could be top of the Premier League, he could be top of the Champions League, and we could be in the quarterfinals of a cup. there is still humongous pressure from upstairs for him to deliver something at the end of this season. There's humongous pressure.
Someone mentioned in the presser the other day, I don't know if it was the Moose, someone talked about, there's no pressure. And Mikel kind of chuckled at it. He's like, no pressure. There's pressure in this job, whether you're mid-table or top of the table going for a title, right? And a lot of fans will say he doesn't feel the pressure. He's Teflon. I don't agree. I don't agree with that, because at some point you got to get ROI. It's the same thing. Fans expect ROI from Victor Gyökeres. They want ROI from they want ROI from Eza, from Madueke, who I thought was really unlucky not to even play a minute today after the performance that he had midweek. Anyway, who is your player of the match, James? Everyone.
Again, for me, Bukayo Saka. But again, the bar was so low in terms of who the man of the match could be. But like I said, I thought first half he was the best game I saw him play since Fulham away. That one against Fulham, he created about 8 or 9 chances, and they didn't tuck them all in. I thought he did, much better. But yeah, I agree with the people in the man of the match's own goal. Yeah.
I have to say, I know they're being a little cheeky, but I don't think anyone deserves player of the match today. Nobody. Jesus, for putting himself in that position, then you could say, well, Mikel deserves a lot of credit because he gambled and he brought him on. If you didn't bring him on, that's not happening. That movement, that action isn't happening. I bet Mikel's seething with this performance. Absolutely seething. One of those press conferences where they're asking questions and he's just going left and right, James. When he does that, when he's so angry. This was pathetic. It was so bad. It was the worst performance of the season against the worst team in all of England. Not all of England, of course, there's worse teams, but in the Premier League. And I just find it difficult to hand out a player of the match, but agree with you that on a bad day where we were abysmal, Saka crossed the ball for the own goal of the corner, and Saka crossed the ball for the Jesus goal. So,
sorry, Seb, I'm seeing the comments here where we're saying that this is too harsh. How? Again,
how?
I don't want to dig people out. That's not how I am. But if they want to write in the comments the signature 7585, let me know what you saw out there. Who
deserves a 7? No one deserves it. Saka maybe for his actions, but go on, James.
Well, again, just out of sheer curiosity, because I come on to everything I go on, either my channel, your channel, purely, wherever I'm asked to go, and I pride myself on that. I say things how I see them. So if you've seen something there that I haven't, chuck it in the comments, because I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, you can back it up.
Because that for me today, was, we were lucky. And I know sometimes, like Napoleon used to say, I don't want good generals, I want lucky ones. Your luck runs out. I know people that say to me, luck's for losers, James. There's no such thing as luck. It's preparation and timing. I've had people say that to me all my life. So, again, I'm here just as much as I'm talking to also listen or read and be educated. So by all means, where me and Sophie are being too harsh, tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us. Because I would love to know.
Yeah. We've lauded this team. We've lauded Mikel for managing his in-game management this season. We've lauded our new signings. We've lauded our depth. We've lauded the Josh Kroenke and Andrea Berta. And, but we can't sit here and be disingenuous and just blow sunshine up your asses. We're not going to do that. It wasn't good. And I'm still trying to find silver linings and slivers and trying to defend the manager because the players, they've just been really poor since Chelsea. And I know a lot of you will say, well, his tactics. And yeah, we need to be better. But I'm pretty sure he didn't go out there and tell him to play this shit today.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And Bruffy, by the way, the Cronkies just did not renew Chris Armas's contract. They've hired a manager who was an assistant at Tottenham for Ange Postecoglou for the Colorado Rapids job. But yeah, their Rams are doing well, and the Avalanche are a good bet to win the cup. I mean, these guys don't mess around. Eventually, the love coupons do run out. What is your mark for the gaffer today, James?
Again, like man of the match, it's such a low bar.
But also, this is such another good point from Sir Antonius, who's made a major comeback since upsetting me last week. We've had instability in the squad, but yet we're top of the table by 5 points. We're all rooting for Crystal Palace tomorrow, and we've won every single one of our Champions League games, and we're doing it and have done it with periods. Without Saka, without Odegaard, without Havertz, without Saliba, without Big Gabby, without Victor Gyökeres, without Leo Trossard, without Martinelli. I mean, is the sky really falling on where we're at? No. But should the sky be cloudy tonight because of this performance? 100% yes.
Yeah. Did you not think Saka deserves credit? I've just given him man of the match, mate. I've just given him man of the match.
I don't think they're listening. And Matty K, welcome. You're late, mate. We're going to go in a minute. You're late. Was there any player that... Anything else you want to say, James, is all I'm going to say. Anything else, you guys get it out now. Forever hold
Sophie,
your peace.
I'm really struggling. I'm sorry, because I normally can talk for bloody England, can't I? But I am struggling. I am struggling. It's one of them where normally, like I've said the last couple of weeks, I'd go, put that behind you, don't worry, roll on. But I'm like, no, you need to grind this week. I don't know if analysis, training, everything.
I didn't say it was Arteta's fault. Listen, what is going on? Are you guys not listening? What is happening out there? Am I speaking in like Greek? Seriously. I don't get it. I don't get it. Guys, I love your content and what you do, so please don't misinterpret this. No, we want to be clearer. Be clearer. Listen, we all want to win so badly, right? I bet David Hillier, if he was on the show today, would say, I love that, Soph. Ugly, 3 points in the bag. But going forward, there've got to be some improvements. And we don't want to sound like a broken record and say the same thing over and over again.
The only thing positive that I can really extrapolate, and again, I'm clutching, Sophie, I'm absolutely clutching, is that we were the pace setter again this week. We went before everybody else that's close to us. Villa play tomorrow against West Ham. City play tomorrow, obviously, against Palace. And we got the 3 points, so we've got the 5 point gap. We've done it. By hook or by crook, we've done it. But again, that is me absolutely clutching at straws to give a positive before we wrap up and end.
Okay, so we go to Everton.
Because you got to break serve, Sophie. We say it all the time.
Yeah. No, I know. We've got Everton coming up on December 20th. That's a week today. We've got a show with James Green from Sky Sports next Wednesday. I'm doing a show with Harry and Tom. I'm probably going to fight with them the whole show because Tom and I are really not on the same page about Victor Gyökeres. I've seen people not be as forgiving, and I question that. And and there's a couple of other special guests coming up as well that I will announce next week.
You got to remember a lot of these were people that absolutely pumped for Sesko all summer long, but borderline twerking for Sesko. Mm-hmm. Now that hasn't happened. Again, a lot of this with.
And where's he?
Well, yeah, but a lot of this with stuff with players, even with the it's you want to be proved right more than you want your team to do well at sometimes for me. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I would rather eat humble pie for 38 games of a season and be completely wrong about things. You know, you got to remember there were people all these years ago. Oh, David Raya won't play more than 5 games this season. He's not a better goalkeeper than Aaron Ramsdale. Well, where's Aaron Ramsdale now?
Dude, I got so stuffed from eating that
you know?
humble pie.
Exactly. I mean, this is it. It's the cycle of the way that these fans and people within the community and what have you go is absolutely insane. It's a merry-go-round. So at the moment, I'll sit and wait on Gyökeres, but give it a few weeks and it'll be somebody else. It'll be somebody else's turn.
And also, James, we learn, and by the way, yes, City were very lucky to beat Fulham. That comment was up for a little bit. That's what I'm saying. I'm happy to be lucky today because we were so lucky. And you need a little luck along the way to win a title. And today was our lucky day. I did not see the second goal coming, the 2-1. I'd written it off. I muted the TV and was starting to get ready for the post-game show, went back into the living room to unmute the TV, and we were celebrating, and I rewinded it. I did not see that coming. It wasn't that kind of game. It was a game that had, you're going to pay the price for playing this crap, and you're going to pay the price against a team that has 3 points now in the Premier League. And James does speak the truth. Sperotta. Yes.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
So
I'm not the best, but I'm in the top 1. That's what I'm going to say.
Are you letting players go away for a few days in this week? They need
to go to work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I want extensive, maybe not as hard training, because we've seen that doesn't help with the old muscular injuries. But yeah, they definitely need to have a bit of the old mental taxation, sat in front of the screens with the old laser pen. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? What's this all about? There definitely needs to be a bit of that. And sometimes you need that. You know, I've had a few, and again, I know I'm not a high professional athlete and I'm not playing top level football, but sometimes in work where I've been, we've had to have a few road to Damascus chats and lay a few fucks into one another. It's healthy. It's natural. You know? So yeah, I hope there's a bit of that this week. I really do.
You know, I don't know. I'm done. I don't have anything else to say. I really don't. Yeah. I mean, some games you're going to read so much into that. There's going to be some analysis. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to give you the expert opinion. And just like us, you know, some are broadcasters, some are fans, and everyone's an expert. And I've learned so many harsh lessons along the way about getting too, too angry too soon. And if we were 4th or 5th right now, I'd probably be having a Greek fit. Let's be honest. But we're not. So maybe, just maybe, you know, we'll hold fire, like James said. And there may come a time where we have to go down a road of, hopefully not, analysing the team in a way that, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Right. That is that.
Yep.
Listen, I have faith. I think that we've handled this post-game show exceptionally well. We've recognized the little that is to be recognized. We've asked questions about player versus tactics and the manager. We've stuck our heads out and said, don't go too soon on giving up on Victor Gyökeres. We talked about don't go premature on Jesus. I think it's been measured. I think you've been great, James. Let everyone know where they can find you.
At LL Cool James 91, and then my YouTube channel and everything is in the bio. So yeah, if again any of you have enjoyed this, and I can leech some of your subscribers, I will take as many as I will take as many as I can. I'll take as many as I can.
Today you can take them all, other than Tammy and Sir Antonius, for sure. And nothing.
Have you watched any good movies this week, Soph? On a brighter note.
Oh my God. Have you seen Jay
There
Kelly?
you go. Someone here straight away has gone, give us a movie. There you go.
Have you seen Jay Kelly on Netflix, the new George Clooney, Adam Sandler film? I loved it. Maybe it's because it has a little industry vibe to it, but I just loved it.
Is it a comedy, Adam Sandler, or
It's
is
like
it like
a drama. It's like a dramedy. I love Adam
okay.
Sandler in those roles.
Yeah,
he's so good, and there's nostalgia to it. I'm a sucker for like.
I'm a big Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love Adam Sandler fan.
It's not as intense as those movies.
No,
but,
no, Uncut Gems is the most intense film. I was in the cinema. I nearly ripped the seat. I was stressed.
Yeah, it's really good. I like films that kind of pull on those nostalgic heartstrings where you look at time and space. I'm not talking about Victor Gyökeres right now, guys. And you reflect on time and stuff. So yeah, I really, really liked it. I'm watching tonight the Ethan Hawke movie Blue Moon, which is the story of the guy who got kicked out of Rodgers and Hammerstein before it became Rodgers and Hammerstein. I told everyone to watch Anniversary. I don't know if people watched Anniversary. I loved that movie. It was batshit crazy and really liked it. I think One Battle After Another is a Quentin Tarantino wannabe film and so overrated. I did not like it very much. Can't believe it's getting lauded as much as it is. And Frankenstein, it's like, how many more Frankenstein movies do you actually want? This one is on my list. I'm not a Yorgos Lanthimos fan, even though he's Greek, but I do want to see Begonia because it seems like one of his tamest movies. So there you go. There's my movie analysis too, James.
Boom. Lovely.
Boom. Boom shakala.
We've spoiled them.
Well, listen, guys, it's been absolutely brilliant. I hate to leave so many of you in live chat, but I must go buy Vinny and Vesper a chew for the evening so they're nice and chill while we're watching our movies. And I'll be back on Monday Madness, so look out for the time on that. Make sure that you follow LL Core James 91. And somehow we pulled it out the bag. Otherwise, this show would have been a lot different, people. So, it's like science and math. You can't argue with what's in front of you. Were we shit? Yes. But did we get the 3 points? Yes. Do we want to see our team playing like this? No. Do we expect more? 100%. Who's to blame? Everyone. Until next time, kids, don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. At ease, squaddies, at ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner.